Welcome to the football show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Neil Lennon and Tam McManus here with me on today's show, and here's what's coming up.
Philippe Clement believes Rangers League Cup win will spur the Ibrox side on to pick up even more silverware this season.
I think if you feel this, it creates a certain hunger for more.
Barry Robson makes a brutal admission after Aberdeen's Cup Final defeat to Rangers as fans fume at missed opportunity.
And you're not going to get it all your own way. We've not right as Aberdeen to come down here and run the whole game. Do you know what I mean? That's a proper team you're playing against.
Brendan Rodgers slammed Celtic's dismissal display against Hearts, but admits it came as no surprise after their recent form. And Ross County boss Derek Adams rages over the standard of Scottish football this season as he brands it shocking.
Okay, everybody's in the festive spirit, as you can see. It's
humbug.
it's Scottish football. Let's talk about Rangers. The quadruple's on, Ruffy.
Yep.
First one in the bag. Did they deserve to win the League Cup?
Yeah, I think so. I think over the 90 minutes, I think the most of the chances, the most of the pressure. I think Aberdeen desperately needed to score the first goal. It just never came their way. And Rangers just continually tried to get it. I think the last 10 minutes, obviously, Rangers tried to see the game out and Aberdeen come into it a wee bit, throwing balls into the box. But I think at the end of the day, I think Rangers had the better players on the day.
Rangers manager Philippe Clement says, one in the bag, it creates a desire for more silverware.
I believe in that. I think if you feel this, it creates a certain hunger for more. That's my mentality, and that's always how I've been. And I see this more and more in the dressing room. Doesn't mean we're going to win all the games all season. That's not realistic, but we need to push to win all the games all season and to try to get that. And if you have this mentality with the way we want to play football, with the way everything is analyzed, with the quality we have, we can do really good things.
He deserves great credit. He's come in, he's had 9 weeks, and he's managed to really not only stabilise a team that was looking very frail under Michael Beale, but suddenly they're resolute.
Yeah, he's had a great week. I mean, the result in Betis was, and performance, to be fair, was fantastic. And then off the back of that, he wins his first trophy, which I predicted, by the way, and nobody else did. Thank you very much. Yeah. So, yeah, look, when you're in the Glasgow environment, you're judged on trophies. So, you know, he's been up for his first one, he's won it. He has steadied the ship, no question about it. I still think they're a work in progress, Pete. I don't think they're the finished article for what Philip wants from them. But, yeah, I mean, I don't think they've lost the game domestically since he's come in. So, yeah, credit to him. He's done a fantastic job so far.
Yeah. At times it was a fairly physical game. Todd Cantwell says he was right up for that.
Listen, I've become a bit accustomed to that sort of treatment so far. So, listen, there's no complaints from my side. It's a game of football, a very competitive game of football. Aberdeen made it really difficult for us. You know, we had to play to the conditions. It was really boggy out there as well, so the tempo wasn't as quick as we'd like. But, you know, the win is needed, I think.
It wasn't a classic, Tam, but, you know, in these cup finals, sometimes even a game that's low on quality, it's all about getting the result.
Yeah, listen, cup finals are about winning, Peter. Nobody remembers somebody playing well and getting beat. And I thought it was a poor game. I think the conditions didn't help, Peter. It was blowing a gale, you know, it was raining. And the conditions weren't conducive to playing good football. It was scrappy. But Rangers took that opportunity when it came. Aberdeen don't think they're shot on target the whole game, which would be disappointing for their fans. But I think over the piece, Rangers just about edged it. But it was a poor final. But the main thing for Rangers was getting that first bit of trophy, the silverware in the cabinet. And, you know, it's been a long time since I won the League Cup. Yeah,
and of course, great praise to, he's a full-back, Neil, in James Tavernier. He scored 115 goals. I mean, it's just absolutely outrageous. Some Rangers fans are not big fans of Tavernier. I, on the other hand, look at him and I think to myself, even when they were going through rough times, he was the last man you should have been looking at for any kind of criticism.
I totally agree. And he's come up again with another, I don't know how many times he's done it over the years, you know, produced big performances and big goals, but that's another big goal that he scored for the club. He's always available for selection. His injury record's very good. You know, his goal record, as you touched on, assists as well. You know, I don't know many. There's always been a question mark over him stepping up and his defending at times. But what a great servant he's been to the club, like, and a big player on big occasions.
Yeah, high praise coming from Cyril Dessers to the captain.
He was it already, but yeah, he's a living legend at this club, and today again shows that if you can provide in these moments, like in the semi-final, again now in the final, that speaks for him, and he's an amazing player, an amazing captain, and like I said, he's a living legend at the club. So I'm really happy that I get the chance to play together with him.
Aberdeen, were they a disappointment, Ruffy?
No, I think what we saw yesterday, they've been like that all year. They've had a couple of times they've been really 100% on it. I don't think they were 100% on it yesterday. I think they were relying on maybe 2 or 3 players to turn it on. And sometimes you get to finals and the big players you want to turn up don't turn up. And I think that happened to them. I don't think they had enough chances. They were stubborn. And against anybody else, it'd probably been a decent performance. But when you come up against the likes of Rangers and the players that they've got, you've got to be really on it.
I think a lot of people, maybe Aberdeen fans, wanted to see more from their team. Barry Robson was having none of it.
I just said, well done for giving us everything. They gave us every drop, every ounce. I don't know where people get this thing and you think, that's Rangers we were playing, by the way. They're a good side. They just beat Real Betis in Spain. We've got to remember that. People talking about, Rangers. Rangers are a really good team, a good manager. And we come down here and we know that we know that. And you're not going to get it all your own way. We've not right as Aberdeen to come down here and run the whole game. Do you know what I mean? That's a proper team you're playing against. So, for me, we had a go, and I'm just frustrated for the fans that we couldn't get that ball over the line today.
I don't think anyone was expecting Aberdeen to run the whole game. Maybe run a wee bit of it. didn't run any of it.
A shot on target would have been nice. You know, he's saying he's had a go there. It's a strange way to have a go, not having a single shot on target in a game. I'd be disappointed if I was an Aberdeen fan. I thought that Rangers were pretty poor on the day.
It was a dreadful game.
It was a poor game, Peter. It was a really bad, poor game. The goals, summed it up. The ball came in. Goalkeeper maybe do better. He hits it into the ground, it goes in. And it was going to take something like that, a scrappy goal or a mistake from someone to win it. But when you're looking at that Rangers performance, you think the Aberdeen fans will go back up the road think we've missed a big opportunity. And I don't think they had a go. They had a go in the last 10 minutes when they went 1-0 down. But before that, I thought they were quite happy just to be, hard to beat and sit in and hope for something on the break. But I don't think they had a go at all, to be honest.
Yeah, do you think that's been the way all season? I mean, Ruffy touched on it as well. He may have to look at a different way of playing now, Peter. I thought they were fortunate in the semi-final to get through against Hibs. Hibs were the better team, and they got a breakaway goal, but there was no real flowing football from them. It was just defend and maybe catch them on the counter attack. They've got a top striker, one of the best outside the top two, and I think he feeds off scraps a lot. So unless he starts getting progressive results in the league now, because they're in a difficult position in the league. They're out of Europe now. They've had a go at the final, but I think there's more to come from this Aberdeen team. But with the way he sets them up, they're very, focused on defending first and then the attacking side of the game after.
Well, for me, when I look at Aberdeen, he's got a full run of games now where you've got to look and say to yourself, they're all winnable, Ruffy. He's got Livingston, he's got Dundee, he's got Motherwell, St Mirren and Ross County. That's the next run of games before you have the break. And I think at that point, a lot of Aberdeen fans will be looking and saying, there should be at least a 75-80% win rate there. Something from that side, because we'll get to Derek Adams later on in the show, but I thought the standard of football was woeful. And again, if anything, I was just waiting for Rangers to eventually get the goal because I thought they deserved it.
Yeah, I think so as well. Saw Cantwell there. I thought he was very good at Hampden. He's the kind of player that gets on the ball and excites you. You're going to get something from him. We can see a pass where other players can't. But that run up that Aberdeen's got, that's got to be a 4 or 5 win run to keep the Aberdeen supporters on board. Yeah,
just a couple of things that I want to get your thoughts on, Tam. Obviously, refereeing decisions are never too far away from these. I don't know about you, but I thought every shot pull was now a penalty.
Well, it should be, and I think it was it Cantwell on Gartman? The referee sees that, he's got to give a penalty. And did he see it? Did he not see it? Did they have a look at it? It should have probably been a penalty kick, it would have been soft, but Rangers are getting soft penalties for 2 or 3 shirt pulls this season, so could have been a penalty kick. I don't know about the other one with Duke, Philby, but I'm not sure about that one. But I think if the referee sees that on VAR at a corner, somebody pulling a jersey and it's coming away like that, then that should be a penalty, because they're giving penalties for that all the time.
Yeah, even at that point, I still thought Rangers could have gone through the gears, but nevertheless, it's one of those ones where you have to look at it, you have to give us your thoughts on it. Should it have been a penalty? What about the overall performance of Rangers? Quadruple, Ruffy, quadruple. You're talking about a man here who has got the first one in the bag, the big game on the 30th, a January transfer window, and suddenly this title race, Rangers' destiny in their own hands here.
Yeah, I think they've got every right not to talk about a quadruple. I think they've got every right to talk about a treble. Obviously, the way Celtic are just now, and some of the other teams just aren't producing it consistently. If they get a good run in the Scottish Cup, you know, you would expect them to be there or thereabouts. But the league's a big one. You know, I think we're all now, how that's flipped dramatically in the last couple of weeks is amazing. You know, so it's all up to Celtic at Parkhead to see how that game goes and how the rest of the season pans out.
Okay, so Rangers win the League Cup. It's been a fantastic week because obviously a brilliant win against Real Betis. They win the League Cup over Aberdeen, and Rangers fans watch Hearts defeat Celtic at Celtic Park. In 9 weeks, Clement seems to have galvanised Rangers. In 9 weeks, Brendan Rodgers seems to have dismantled Celtic.
Yeah, it's been an incredible turnaround, to be honest with you. I think when, you know, Michael Beale left and Clement came in, I think if you'd have said a week before Christmas that, you know, Rangers would have won the League Cup and have a possibility to be above Celtic before that game, you know, at Celtic Park, they'd have took you to Carstairs, to be honest. I don't think anyone's seen it coming. But I think Celtic were getting away with it at the start of the season. They weren't playing particularly well, even from the first 10 minutes of the opening game of the season against Ross County, when Ross County could have scored a couple of goals. Ever since then, it's not been convincing at all by Celtic, but they got away with it because Rangers were worse under Michael Beale. They're not now. Rangers have got a manager in who knows what he's doing, and he's got the trophy there that will give them confidence. And Celtic need to react to it, because if they don't, the league's going to slip away, because Rangers are playing well, they're winning games, they've got the bit between their teeth, and Celtic need to react to this.
He's inherited a treble-winning side, Ruffy.
Yeah, for me, there are 4 things that are missing for last year. Jota, Abada, Hatate and Kyogo losing a bit of form. For me, they were the 4 players last year that made Celtic exciting to watch. And defensively, they were really strong. Yeah, they've had 1 centre-half in, 1 centre-half out, 2 of them out. And these doesn't help you along the way. But I just think they've lost that spark, that pace that they had getting the ball wide. And I've said it on numerous occasions, teams are now locked into it. Get the ball wide, fire into Kyogo, he's half a yard sharper than everybody else, and it's a goal. But that's not happening there, because the teams have sussed it out. All they do is block Kyogo's area. The wee man's got nowhere to go. He's got 3 or 4 defenders all about him, because they know it's coming in, and it's not going to be up there. It's going to be on the deck, so it's easier to defend.
This is what Brendan Rodgers had to say after the game. You sat there with 60,000 and that's how you perform. It's not acceptable. I can't say I'm surprised. I've seen the performance level and having to activate it. When you're having to do that all that time, that is a worry. Well, I can't quite work out, Neil. It's a tough one for a manager who you usually expect a little bit of spark. I just haven't seen it yet.
From Brendan?
Yeah.
No. There's definitely a change in tempo from the way they're playing. I don't think there's any need to panic. You look at the record, you know, it's the first time in 10 years they've lost back-to-back games, and first time they've lost at home in 52 or something like that. So it's a really high bar, and records are there to be broken. But you have to say the level of performance isn't what we expect from Celtic at the minute. So they're going to have to dig deep. We're going to have to galvanise everyone around. The fans need to now see that the team's going through a bit of adversity. You know, this is when the team and the manager need their support rather than the other way around. I know there was some dissent towards the board, but again, I don't understand, because just won a treble last year. I mean, since Dermot's come in, it's been total domination for 20 odd years. 6 trebles, Europa Leagues, 3 last 16s. I could go on. So sometimes you've got to be careful what you wish for. But at the minute, it's not good. There's a lack of consistency. And I think Brendan's waiting for the January transfer window, but currently he has to roll up his sleeves and get more out of this team.
Livingston and Dundee next before they get to the home game against Rangers. And then, you know, I presume he thinks he's going to buy his way out of this current predicament because he's not happy with what he's got.
Well, if you looked at the starting lineup from Celtic at the weekend there, I think they had one player from the summer window who started, and that was Palmer. And the other 8 or 9 were either in the stand or not playing. So, you know, they've not improved the team in the summer transfer window. And people were going on about Rangers' summer transfer window, saying, oh, shocking, you know, the players have signed. I think Celtic have been worse. Celtic's transfer window has been worse. I think Celtic have not brought in anyone that's improved the team. And that is a damning statistic. So it's going to come down to January who can recruit the better players, because I don't think there's a lot in it now. The Rangers, you know, rejuvenated under the new manager. I think they will spend money. They've made money in the Europa League. I think they will spend to try and get their 60 million at the end of the season. And Celtic have got to go and recruit better quality than they've done in the summer window, or else I don't think they'll win the league.
I think the other difference as well with Celtic is last year the people that were on the bench were coming on and making a difference. You know, the quality they had. I looked at that bench yesterday, and apart from Maeda, you could probably sell the rest of them. And that was about 8 players who are doing nothing for the club. You know, so as Neil said, it's easier saying moving them on, but it's harder moving them on, particularly in January.
When you look at his first 18 games, now he's got 42 points. In the first 18 games of the last season, you were there, you had 43, Neil. I know they haven't contacted you for the job, but nevertheless, it's a dramatic drop from him. And somewhere along the line, I think as a manager, you have to understand that even before the window, you got to get a trick out of them. How do you do that? What do you do? What is within his capabilities? Is it saying to him, is it hoping somebody comes back that can enhance the squad, or is it just basically, does he need to tweak it and change it again?
I thought so. You know, if the style isn't working, you know, he is quite flexible, Brendan. He can go to a back 3. You know, maybe, you know, Ruffy was talking about the lack of support for Kyogo. Maybe go 3-5-2 for a few games. You know, the players
beside them.
Yeah, the players are flexible and adaptable. Sometimes it's good to, you know, change it, Tom. And they've got the players and they've got the quality to do that. And it might just give the opposition something else to think about. And I'm not saying you stay with that the whole way, but sometimes it's good to freshen things up when you're just starting to become not easy to play against, but, you know, teams are starting to get the better of you or work out your 4-3-3 or your 4-2-3-1, and you know, I'm surprised he hasn't done that already, because I've seen him do it with Leicester on many occasions. But the bottom line is he's a top manager. He's been over the course and distance before, and he maybe not gone through this at Celtic before, but you know, he'll look forward to the challenge of this, Pete. There's no question there's a title race on, Tom. You know, and sometimes that's what you want as a neutral.
Absolutely.
You know, so like I said, there's nothing coming at me to say that Celtic still can't win the league. They're just going through a bit of a bad run at the minute, but because the bar has been so high for so long, like a little blip, or maybe more than a little blip like this, is something that the fans aren't used to over the years. But it's part of football. I was down at the Etihad. They won the treble last year. They've won 1 game in 5. They were 2-0 up, drew 2-2. Fans come off. You know, there was a little bit of unrest, but you know, there's an acceptance there that yeah, they've got the manager, they've got the team to sort this out, and I feel it's the same with Celtic.
Is he under pressure if they lose that game at Celtic Park against Rangers?
Yeah, I think he is, Peter. And it's incredible to say that from a manager who's won everything, who's so much success at Celtic. But he's came back and it's just not been the same. He doesn't look as if he's got the spark within him at the minute. And I'm not saying that's not going to change in January when he gets some players in. But at the minute, it just doesn't look good for Celtic. The last couple of performances have been really poor in the league. So I think he will be. Listen, if Rangers go above Celtic at any point, then the Celtic manager's going to be under pressure. I don't care who that is, and it's vice versa. So Celtic are been used to winning trophies and leagues. But if Rangers go to Parkhead and win, you know, Rangers go above Celtic, of course the manager's going to be under pressure.
This is going to be his second transfer window, Ruffy, when it comes.
Yeah, I think everybody's anticipating how he's going to change it and where the player's coming from, what kind of player it's going to come, where does he see. I was going to put Neil in the spot there and say, if he was the Celtic manager, then what would your main thing, number 1, be?
Number 6. Number 6 and number 9.
Physical presence.
Yeah. And let McGregor play further forward. the game on Wednesday when Iwata started and Callum was playing in the number 8 role, they started off the game really well and they gave Callum that licence to go and dictate the game further up the pitch. And then Iwata came off and Callum had to drop back into the number 6 position, and just the momentum stopped. Then Tavernier started creating chances. I don't think he's a great number 6. I think he's far better, you know, playing that sort of 6-8 role and getting in and scoring goals. So for me, a physical presence in the midfield is a must. And obviously, you know, if people don't think, or if Brendan doesn't think O's the man to, you know, supplement Kyogo, then another number 9, another goal scorer.
Yeah, I know you're not going to be happy at this, but did you have another question here?
I was going to say, yeah, you know him better than us all. What market do you think he's going to delve into, Brendan?
I would imagine you look at England, roughly. You know, yeah, he knows the market, and you know, you have good contacts there, and you know, whether it be top of the Championship or lower Premier League, I think he'd be looking for some quality to bring in. I think that's the market he would look at anyway, for sure. Because I think you need some British types in there as well at times.
Okay, you're not going to be happy with this, but I'm going to start waxing lyrical about the Jambos, because Stevie Naismith was under pressure for a wee while there, and slowly but surely he's just starting to quieten down a few of the doubters. That's a great result for Hearts at Celtic Park, and of course, you know, not only Shanklin, who just keeps on scoring at the moment, but Kingsley with a belter of a free kick.
Yeah, I think, listen, we're talking about Celtic's troubles and how they're playing poorly, but I think you've got to give Hearts a lot of credit. I think they go 2-0 early, you're anticipating, you know, Celtic coming back in the second half and really turning the screw and putting them under pressure, but, you know, they didn't, they defended well, they were solid, they were still a threat going forward as well. So, no, I thought that was a great away performance from Hearts. They got the goals and they defended strongly, and they didn't let Celtic back in. If Celtic got that goal, you know, at the start of the second half, then you could see them, you know, maybe crumbling. But you know, to keep a clean sheet at Parkhead is a very, very big achievement as well. So, no, I think it's a great result. Stephen Naismith slowly but surely starting to turn that team around.
Yeah, and of course, we're talking about Brendan getting a January window. Stephen Naismith will get a window again to try and alter things roughly. But dare I say it, you know, they're joint third with St Mirren. Yeah,
and they certainly have money in the bank as well. They've produced their accounts and there's money lying there, so it depends how much they give them. You know, and wins like that away from home will make the owners or the board or everyone say, well, we should back this guy. You know, look at the results he's getting. Let's see if he can bring in more quality. But I think the biggest thing for Hearts obviously is Shankland in January. We're waiting to see what kind of market there is there, interest, you know, and see how they react to that.
Yeah, and I'm looking at their games coming up, Tam. Of course, the win over Celtic there, but they've got St Mirren coming up at home. Then they travel away to Hibs, and then they've got Ross County. So that's 9 points in the bag there easily. Go on,
maybe 6.
Take it.
And then they've got Livingston after that as well. So, no, listen, they've got a lovely little run of games coming up. That was obviously a tough one at the weekend. And if they can go and beat Hibs at Easter Road, which I hope they don't, but if they do, they can go and put a gap between themselves and Hibs. So, no, he must be, you know, he's got Hearts, he's got Ross County and St Mirren, the next 2 home games as well. 2 games you'd be looking to take 6 points from. So, no, I think if you're a Hearts fan, you're looking up rather than down. It was a slow start, but they're starting to get it together.
And if you're a Hibs fan, how do you look upon a 1-0 defeat to St
I watched the game, Peter.
Yeah.
Probably 96 minutes I'll never get back. It was dreadful.
Yeah.
Derek Adams might have a point, maybe we'll talk about him later, but Hibs were
What about the goal?
beyond belief. I
can't believe
they kept trying to do that, Peter. They kept trying to play the ball out for the back, and they could have lost 3 goals just by doing that. Levitt's trying to ping a ball out, he goes straight to Carey, takes a touch, great finish, and then it was right, okay, that's not working, let's try. They just kept trying to do it. It was as if, right, we need to do it better. And St Johnstone could have won that game 3 or 4-0. They could have. Hibs, from what I've seen, I don't think they created an opportunity in the game. And Craig Levine just done a job on Hibs. You know, they sat and they hit the counter attack, and they could have scored 3 or 4. David Marshall again in great form, but by far the worst performance I've seen under Nick Montgomery from Hibs.
Yeah, here's St Johnstone manager Craig Levine.
We scored 1, but I mean, Marsh has made about 4 top saves. You know, so yeah, we scored 1 and it was enough. But defensively, we were really good. All in all, it's quite a pleasing night for me.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I get this. I get this feeling. So, you know, I was going to say second time around, but just this whole, if this is his last job in management, I keep waiting for him to finish every answer, then have a puff on his cigar, and then just laugh.
He looks so totally chilled out at the minute. You know, looks like he looks well, he looks healthy, and you know, even his press conferences after games that they've either won or lost, he's been just looking so relaxed about the whole thing. Looks like he's really enjoying being back in it, and that's a fantastic win for St Johnstone at the weekend. I didn't see that coming. Thought Hibs, you know, were on a bit of momentum, but by all accounts, you know, St Johnstone were by far the superior team.
Yeah, 7 points ahead of bottom place Livingston.
He's done a great job since coming in, no question. He's made them harder to beat, bit like the old St Johnstone, you know, good defensive structure and nicking goals. But obviously he's been a breath of fresh air going in there.
Can I ask you, what is the obsession?
I don't know. Are you about playing out from the back? I know. I don't get it, Peter.
Hibs don't do it the same as everybody else. They've complicated it.
What, by giving it to the opposition?
No. I was watching somebody really needs to tell me. David Marshall in the middle of the goal, the centre half goes on the 6-yard line, and the centre half passes it to Marshall.
Yeah.
And then they go the other way. Surely Marshall can do that. It just creates havoc.
He needs, if he's going to play like that, he needs to get better quality in to play like that. Because the guys he's got are not capable of doing it.
You need to be Man City.
I know, it's a difficult country to play that way.
He was a holding midfield player. He picks the ball up off the goalkeeper, Tom.
And he's in box and pings it.
I don't know what he's trying to, I don't know what he's seeing. He's just totally got it wrong. And it's going straight to Carey, who's 25 yards out. Next thing the ball's in the back. It's just so unnecessary, and it's cost them the game.
Yeah, well, he doesn't have to be a prophet to work out, Nick Montgomery, that he always felt this game, it was going to be a mistake that might win it for the opposition.
Yeah, disappointing performance in all. You know, I did feel that at half time it was going to be a mistake from either side that, you know, would probably result in a goal, and look, we didn't capitalise on the mistakes they made, especially in the first half. And we had a couple of opportunities, you know, on that pitch. You know, the pitch was tough at times, and people slipping over and you know, missing the ball. But yeah, it's disappointing. But yeah, we didn't deserve to win the game. I think we deserved to lose it. You know, on reflection of the whole game, probably not.
Okay, you know what it's like, and I probably I'll include Neil at one point or other in it, but managers have a great way of painting a picture sometimes of a game that we haven't watched.
Oh, they deserve to lose the game. Listen, I'm passionate about Hibs. I want them to do well and win every game, but they deserve to lose the game. St Johnstone thoroughly deserved to win that game. Hibs were really poor.
Yeah, okay. This next one is really contentious because of all the games we're going to talk about... Don't worry, you can relax, because you and I have said this on this show for months, and suddenly Derek Adams has come out in an after-match press conference after a 1-0 defeat to Dundee, and this is what the Ross County boss had to say after that defeat. The standard since I've come back to this country is shocking. Today, if I'm a paying customer, I don't come to watch this football match. I've left a club that is 100 times better, and we had the lowest budget in League Two. I just see some of the things that happened and think, seriously? Well, scathing to say the least. There's a number of points which we can obviously discuss. It's a hard one for players who are coming up to, you know, Ross County at this moment that he's inherited to actually want to put themselves on the line for him with that line.
Yeah, it is. And I'm sure if the players are sitting in the dressing room, they wouldn't have heard that interview, but they'd probably be told about it. I think a few of them would be upset by it. I mean, the summing up of the game, you can't, you know, criticise what he's saying because it was dire. You know, there was one moment in the park, there was 7 headers without the ball hitting the deck. They were all just heading about the... Get the ball on the deck, for God's sake. Maybe conditions were bad up there, as you can expect, but I don't think he should be throwing it at everybody. If he wants to throw it at his team, throw it at his team. Don't bring everybody else into it, because we've saw some great games in the Scottish games have been superb. So, and I don't get the Morecambe. I don't know much about Morecambe, the players that they've got, but I think he's just throwing that into the mix just to make it a wee bit more exciting.
Yeah. Okay. the timing of it's not great. And I know that probably he should concentrate on his own team. But as a broad overview, is it down to the standard of player, or is it down to the fact that managers are under so much pressure that they are projecting a message to the players to play a certain way? And for me, the standard, I'm just talking about my own personal point of view. I've watched games, I've gone to games this season. The standard is woeful. Technically, and the way they go about their business of playing the game has been really poor to watch at times. So I'm not going to, sit here and criticise him. Some pundits have come out and said, "Oh, he's bang out of order," but the standard has been poor, Neil.
Like we talked about this not just this season but last season as well. But we're observers, Peter. Derek's a manager. It's all right thinking that, but putting it out there publicly is, it shocked me, and it's not a good look. So you're wondering what his chairman's making of all this when he's comparing them to being 100 times worse than Morecambe. I don't believe that for 1 minute. However, I do believe that the quality has been in decline for a couple of years, and we've talked about it as a post-COVID, but people are telling me there's plenty of investment. Well, either the quality of the player that they're bringing in isn't good enough, or the coaching isn't good enough. And I've watched a lot of games where I'm thinking to myself, it's not the same as it was maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago in terms of the speed and quality of the teams around. And it's, I've watched a lot of teams come up against Celtic and Rangers and been awful. I've watched a lot of teams play each other in the mid-table, area, and it's not been good. So there has to be an improvement. And Derek has come from England all the way up here, and he's made this assumption after 5 games or 6 games being in charge. So while I agree with him, to a certain extent, I think it was wrong for him to come out and do it the way he did it publicly.
Yeah. Peter, another thing as well, I don't think he should have done it after a defeat. I think they should have done it after a win. I think it's sour grapes. He's got beat. I think the other bit we'll probably talk about was his team deserved to win the game. They dominated. If you look at the statistics, and I spoke to the assistant manager at Dundee, and he says, Dundee deserved to win the game. Ross County were poor. So I think coming out after a defeat and saying it, I think he'd have been better coming out. He's won a few games, up there. Come out and say it after, the games you've won. I think it was the wrong timing as well. But he's entitled to his opinion, but Neil's right. Like, it shouldn't be coming from a manager. That can't come from a manager.
It's all right thinking that. I'm sure a lot of people think it, but actually putting it out there, it's not a good look for the game up here, Tom.
Well, what is it? Is it this? When he says the standard of the football, a lot of football fans are saying, "Well, wait a minute. Is it the calibre of player, or is it the way they're being taught to play it?
Maybe.
Or the way they're being asked to approach each game?"
Maybe. It's hard for me to put a finger on it, but I see a lot of negative football. I see a lot of, I'm not a purist by any means, Pete. You know what I mean? I like watching good football and that, but decision making, game management, all these things. We're talking about Hibs playing out from the back, and Nick was touching on the pitch wasn't great. So why are you trying to play out from the back on a bad pitch? I'm not saying hump it forward all the time either, but take a balance. Think about the conditions that you're playing in and play to the conditions at times. But I just think that overall, and I watched a lot of games when I was abroad last year, and the Scottish games, and out with the big two, like it wasn't a good watch.
Yeah, but of the big, and
then you look at the European, the European sort of performances as well. Whether it be Hibs, Aberdeen, whether it be Hearts, miles off it.
Yeah, trying to put it in perspective is difficult. I'm wondering if the nature. I'm not a fan of the 12-team league. I'm not giving him excuses. I'm just saying as a broad overview. I'm not a fan of a 12-team league where you start off the season and 8 of them, their mission is to avoid relegation. I don't see the joy in that whatsoever. I think we have a negative style set up which doesn't give you a situation where you've got that little bit of breathing space to say, okay, we can play this way. There are some games when we can have a go, because there's a fear factor throughout the entire league. And I don't give a hoot whether Neil Doncaster comes out and says their fans flocking to the game. It's unbelievably well supported. We've got this money, we've got that money. It's a nonsense when you get to a 12-team league. But in saying that, I'm trying to offer a little bit of balance here, Ruffy. I watched Celtic play Real Madrid for 60 minutes. and it was an absolute joy to watch the way Ange Postecoglou's side went about their business. And then, because it's Real Madrid, they just picked them off and won the game. 3 or 4 weeks later, I went down with my daughter to watch Liverpool against Real Madrid. Liverpool raced into a 2-goal lead. Real Madrid eventually picked them off and battered them 5-2. But the standard of football was good because the manager wanted them to play a certain way. And I think there's a responsibility on managers. If you want to play football, you know, that game on Sunday, the cup final, the first half was dire. Get somebody on the ball, hold it, pass it, slow it down, get people one. Football's not difficult. Get one player there and get another one to play it to, and get it on the deck and play a bit of football. Yes, you can mix it up as Neil says, but I just think the managers are. I think there's a fear factor in the game.
I don't know if managers can answer that one. I'm sure that we all want to see young kids at 17 and 18 breaking through and holding down a place in the first team. But you're right, you know, I don't understand why the clubs don't want to vote for an extra 4, because there are certain teams out there given the chance would be an asset. We always talk about, what do they bring? I'm not just picking Livingston here, but what do they bring, you know, to the table? There's Dundee United and Wraith Rovers, 10,000 of a crowd. They beat every Premiership attendance apart from the big one in the league, and Falkirk as well. I think they were 6,000 or 7,000. So they're seeing something they like. You know, I don't know whether there's young boys getting a chance in there, but you're right. Breathing space has a lot to do, but quality as well. Neil, it must be a joy for Neil going down to the English Premiership and seeing the quality that's there. I know all the games aren't great, but the individual quality that you see from certain players is just worth the season money to pay it.
Yeah, they didn't do too well in Europe under Ange Postecoglou. There was the same type of results, and he felt as if he was on a hiding to nothing because he couldn't get that level again of player. But of the players he did get, there was a lot of positives from Celtic fans saying, we're giving it a go, we're playing football the way we want to play football.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I'm not saying it's all doom and gloom. Like, you know, Rangers go and get a fantastic result in Spain the other night, you know, so there's still a lot of good things there, but I'm talking about the overall sort of quality of the teams and the technical ability, the decision making, the positivity. I just see mistakes after mistakes after mistakes, and we're encouraging it, Peter, rather than going, no, we need to correct this. This is wrong, you know. And we can't compare the Scottish League to the Premier League, or you know, because it's just vast difference. But I still think, as a product, you know, the games could and should be more entertaining. Before I move on to the other two games, when you were with Hibs, yes, did you again look and say, look, I know I haven't got a standard of player that I had when I was a Celtic manager, but did you say to them, listen, this is the way we want to play? You know, because I went into many a press conference when you were Hibs manager, and you were having none of this excitement or happiness for a 1-1 draw.
No. The DNA of the Hibs, and Tom will know this, and Ruffy will know this, and you know, I'll go back to the Maga days, you know, when they played, you know, this really fantastic style of football. That's what I wanted to bring to Hibs, and compete, and you know, not just, you know, compete with Celtic and Rangers, but beat them. And we ended up doing that because we had a good mindset, we had some good players, and we built a really sort of good nucleus of a squad, and we didn't fear, you know, anyone. We got promoted, and I felt we had a good crop of players that could really play, you know, a good level in the Premier League, and thankfully that's what happened. And I think you know, more coaches should be encouraging their teams to do that rather than just be a little bit stale and a little bit hard to beat. St Mirren 0, Motherwell 0. Not a classic, won't be released as a Christmas DVD.
No, I don't think we'll spend too much time in this game, Peter. Motherwell under pressure, go and get a good point, I think, at St Mirren. I think, you know, you're looking, obviously you want them to go and win games, but you know, to go to St Mirren and get a point is a positive result, in my opinion. They've been strong at home this season, so St Mirren will be kicking themselves for the penalty. You know, Mark O'Hara usually puts him away. Good save from Liam Kelly, and that's probably the difference. Well, it is the difference between winning and losing. So, yeah, they've maybe rode the luck a little bit by the penalty, but I thought Motherwell had some other chances as well, and a draw's probably a fair result.
Yeah, Stuart Kettlewell thought they should have had a penalty.
From where I'm standing initially, player bearing down on their goalkeeper, looks for all the world as if he's about to prod it in the back of the net, and the contact comes from behind him. I think if the referee gives that, I don't believe at any point that VAR would chop that off, because I don't think it's a clear and obvious error. And I think from that side, at the speed that he's running at as well, any kind of marginal contact probably is going to result in the attacker going down, which it does.
These are fine lines. Of course, if St Mirren had scored the penalty, they may well have been celebrating 3 points. Their manager's not throwing Mark O'Hara under the bus.
There's no criticism of Mark. People miss penalties. He's brave enough to step in every week and take them. So he missed the penalty. Even the rebounds affected by the wind, it brings it right back to him so quickly he can't react. But credit to Liam, he makes a good save. Mark misses it. It happens in football, and you dust yourself down, So we had chances to win the game out with that. And they had chances to win the game as well. So as I say, overall, it's probably a fair result.
Yeah, and they've got Hearts at the weekend. Could be a good one.
Yeah, but they're in a good place. The players are in a good place. They're on a good run, whether it's a win or a draw. Okay, they get beat up at Dundee. But certainly, they'll be enjoying the training. I always say the training Monday to Friday, if it's good and you've got a good happy camp, there's really a big asset going into the weekend games, and that's where they are at the moment.
Yeah, that's a key element of it as well. I mean, we're talking about the way a manager wants a team to play. A happy camp, bit of fun. People wanted to go to their work, and then of course the DNA of a manager as well, who wants them to play a certain way. And to be fair, he's managed to really put his print on that St Mirren team.
Yeah, he has been, and I think the best teams that I've played in have had a really good dressing room, and there's not been any bad eggs. Everybody's pulling in one direction. I think that Stephen Robinson it's his squad now. I think he's had various transfer windows to get who he thought wasn't good enough out and get better quality in. They're strong, they're hard to beat at home, and he's doing a really, really good job. And Ruffy's right, that dressing room must be great. Go in there, a happy camp, doing well in the league, winning a lot of games, getting a lot of win bonuses, and everything's looking good. So they'll be looking to try and stay in that top 4 all season now.
Yeah, I don't know how David Martindale changes it. It's a draw, but it's still a long run where he knows that he doesn't have the quality.
No, and listen, he's been saying that all season. Like, he's been punching above his weight for a long, long time, and the more the budget gets cut, the more difficult it becomes for Davey, And one thing he's a fighter, and he'll keep going, and hopefully, come January they'll give him some sort of support. But that's exactly what he needs, and he deserves it as well.
I know I'm always tapping into your period as a manager. How frustrating is it when you know your budget's been cut, you've lost certain players at any level, and you suddenly have players that you think they don't have the professionalism, they don't have the technical ability. How frustrating can that be?
Very. After all he's done for the club, you think of the promotions they got as well, League One, Championship, right through, and they've been constant in the Premier League now for the last 5 or 6 years. It's a remarkable story, and he'll not want it to end. But yeah, I mean, you always think the progression would be consistent, stay in the league, we'll progress. But it's been the other way around. It's sort of like they're taking it away from him now, and that's such a difficult place for David to be. There's an understanding there, obviously. There's a sort of reality to it, but it's not easy.
Yeah, they need investment.
At the time of Hibs, we're talking about budgets, and I'm not naming names here.
Yeah, we'll need names.
We're sitting in Hibs at the beginning of the season. We're just all sitting, and the manager came in with a new player, and one of our senior players said the budget must be cut.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll need that player's name before you leave this building, Ruffy. But David Martindale still thinks he can turn it around.
Because I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. There's a wee bit of vulnerability, obviously. We were on a bad run. We're still probably not on a great run, to be honest. So there is that vulnerability there. But I've got belief in the staff, and I've got belief in the players that it will turn. But you've got to, this is in the difficult moments in life, in football, you've got to stick together and you've got to believe in what you're doing, and we'll do that. So hopefully it changes on Wednesday, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it's tough. He's got Aberdeen, he's got Celtic, both away. So it's what did you say the start was without a goal?
I think there's 7 games now, Premier League games without a goal, and they get the penalty in the 83rd minute. Surely he's thinking if this goes in, that's broken. We've got 3 points and he misses it. So he's just, listen, they've got no luck either at the minute, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Derek McInnes, far from happy. He thought there should have been a red card.
It's a terrible tackle. I don't know why that's not been. Well, he's not been asked to go to VAR with that. Whether he felt he dealt with it at the time, he had to come off with injury with the tackle. It's a scissors tackle, something that we've continually told is to be out of the game. He's got the running Mikey Devlin. Nobody wants to see red cards, but it is a terrible challenge, nasty challenge. And for me, it should have been a red card.
Should have been.
It's not like Mikey.
Naughty.
It's not like Mikey. He's not a dirty
player. He's not a dirty player, but I thought it was a red card. It's wee boy Armstrong.
Red for me all
He
day.
just skips by him.
He just skipped by him, and you could see him going like, he's by me, I'm taking him.
Aye.
And he just took him. Yeah.
So what was the yellow card in the end?
I think he get booked for it, but it should have been
yellow,
a red.
Okay, here's the overall Premiership table to see how it all looks at the moment. Livingston in danger of being cut off in the next couple of games. They could be marooned at the bottom and just looking up thinking, well, maybe looking down and thinking, what are they going to do in the Championship next season? But the playoff position is where I think a lot of people, should Aberdeen now be looking, Tam, and thinking we've got to start making a pull away from this?
Yeah, they've got
European football.
You touched on it earlier. They've got a lovely run of games coming up where they should be picking up results. They've not got the excuse of European football now or cup finals. You know, they're in the same boat as everyone else. They've got 3 games in hand over the likes of St Mirren and Kilmarnock, Hibs. You know, so they're not that far off it, but they need to start picking up wins, starting with Livingston during the week at home.
Yeah, okay, Ruffy, I have to tell you, the predictor...
I didn't get a point, by the way.
Shall I tell you something? I'm glad you said that. I looked at the predictor.
I didn't get one correct score.
Wrong. 5. Look at me. I'm absolutely hurtling down that table now. I had a shocker. Did you get any points, Ruffy?
I got 2.
You get 2? It was...
And it should have been 3 if it hadn't have been the last goal at Ross County. He had 1 each there.
Yeah.
You're not even in the top 100 now.
It's
just, what's going on?
It's dismal. Well, do you know...
Kerry, 210.
Do you know
only 211 players?
Well, do you know, I was about to say, no, there's actually quite a considerable amount of players on the predictor and you can join it at any time. The other problem with it is, do you know what happened? I think it was the staff party, Ruffy. I think, you know, after my 3rd Southern Comfort, I feel as if I'd just gone mental.
That was before you came to the night out.
Yeah. It's not looking good, Tam, there, and Alison up there. Okay, let's talk about my favourite player, Neil Lennon, because he's going to get a lifetime achievement
my
award.
favourite player too.
Yeah, is he?
Oh yeah, he's my hero growing up.
Yeah, same here. Have you got a kind of Dalglish room in your house?
I don't actually know.
You really need to get your finger out. Can you get it?
I don't even have a Neil Lennon room in the house.
That's not allowed. That's brilliant. So Kenny's going to be given the Lifetime Achievement Award at the BBC Sports Personality of the Year Awards this week. 8 titles, 3 European Cups, Scotland's most capped player, and of course a joint record goal scorer with Dennis Law. Absolutely fantastic. Now for me, something that Ruffy and I often talk about with his old international teammate, if it hadn't have been for the ban in European football, I think Kenny would have been a manager who guided Liverpool to another couple of European Cups.
Possibly, yeah. I mean,
Barnes, Beardsley.
Yeah, you got to think about Everton as well in that period. You know, they had won a couple of titles and couldn't play in Europe, and they had an exceptionally good team. But I mean, Kenny, like, you know, being at Celtic and then going to Liverpool, like, I used to practice out in the street, you know, commentating on his Dalglish, and you know, he had that brilliant sort of swerving shot, you know, when he curled it into the top corner with either foot. I remember the goal he got against Belgium, and he cut inside and it always looked better when it hit the stanchion, you know. He was a genius, and he was so far ahead of other players, and his partnership with Ian Rush for 4 or 5 years was just incredible to watch. Like, you know, got the best out of Rush, and then you get back up with Souness, and you got Lawrenson and Hansen. What a team they were, and they would have probably won more European trophies, no question.
Yeah, even the one that he was building as a manager, I thought when he eventually stepped back after the double winning season, when he scored at Stamford Bridge, Ruffy. He started to build a side that I just thought, oof, they are absolutely unbelievable to watch.
Well, he started changing it as well. You know, we talked about earlier, a happy dressing room's a good dressing room. He had the boot room, where they all used to go into, and they all used to sit there and have a blather, players and coaches and staff. And they had an environment there, but the history that they've got at Liverpool is just incredible, and he just kicked it on with really, really good players. I
He had to follow Kevin Keegan as well, Ruffy.
yeah.
Massive shoes to fill there, didn't he?
Yeah. My favourite Kenny Dalglish story is I played for Partick Thistle under 16s. My first professional game against Cumbernauld United, and Kenny was playing for Cumbernauld United, and he scored 5 goals.
Against you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot it. Let's have a look.
Let's look at the footage from that game and see.
Black and white.
The general consensus is Ruffy was at fault for 4 out of the 5. Wouldn't it be great if we had that game? Absolutely fantastic. Yes, we wish him well. I'm sure he will, as ever, with his humility, Kenny will pay tribute to so many people. And of course, the other reason why I think it's great, the people of Liverpool will never forget his contribution to that city and the tragedy of the 97 people who lost their life at Hillsborough. How he got through that, I will never know. But I think everybody in Scotland tremendously proud of him, an absolute legend. In contrast, I don't think he'd have been too happy at the weekend. One of the worst games ever, Liverpool Man United. It was
It wasn't a good Super Sunday, was it?
Oh, it was
yeah,
terrible.
the Aberdeen Rangers game, which was rubbish, and then that was worse.
Yeah.
Man United just came to get a point. They just sat in deep. You know, they didn't. I don't think they had a corner. I don't think they had a shot and goal. And Liverpool just weren't good enough to break them down, and that resulted in a 0-0. So 2 points dropped from Liverpool, particularly when Man City dropping points. You know, Liverpool looking at that and going, we could really, kick ahead of them because they're still probably the team to beat.
United are ranked rotten.
Poor.
Terrible to
They've been
watch.
poor this season, yeah. I mean, I look at them last year, they win the League Cup, they make top 4, and you think Ten Hag's got something going here, and then they've just gone full circle again, back to the days of Rangnick and the end of Solskjaer. So there needs to be a culture change in there, Pete. Sometimes it's difficult when there's all this sort of will he, won't he, the Jim Ratcliffe stuff and who's going to take over and that. But it looks to me like some of the players who are bought and, the quality players coming in, and it's almost like their abilities just drawn out of them. Like Mason Mount, Anthony, you're looking at, they're going with Johnny Evans at centre-half at the minute. The keeper hasn't looked brilliant. I'm trying to think of some of the... Hoyland hasn't scored a goal, I don't think, in the Premier League for 70 million quid. He's maybe people will be looking at him then as a judgment of a player. I don't think they'll sack him because it's just a revolving door then it becomes. But I definitely think the dressing room's toxic again, and it needs some sort of massive sort of change in mentality and identity at the club because it's not a good look at the minute at all.
Yeah, a couple of points before we finish. Just I think from everybody in football, Tom Lockyer, Luton Town, the captain, suffered a heart attack on the pitch, and I think everyone wishing Tom a speedy recovery. It was just again memories and visions of Eriksson when he was playing for Denmark. It's quick response time from everyone with the defibrillator and just making sure that he can get quickly to a place where I think we're going to do a feature on it, Ruffy. The need for people to be aware of CPR and how to save a person's life.
Yeah, I think as one of the pluses for modern day football, that side of the game has, improved. The medical teams that are at clubs now, and we saw what happened to Eriksson, we saw what happened at the weekend. It is a quick response, and having the ability, the people there with the equipment to act very quickly. But I thought they were very good. They didn't hang about, abandoned the game and concentrated on what was happening on the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you've got a friend in football that you've known for such a long time, and you always try and look out for him. And if ever Sunderland come calling for you, I'm going to call you and say, don't touch it with a barge pole. Just please, I'll pay you wages just to keep you in the manner you're accustomed to.
Very much paid,
because Sunderland for me are a basket case for managers. And Michael Beale has just been revealed as the new manager of Sunderland.
I can't believe they've sacked Tony Mowbray and got Michael Beale. That's all I want to say.
Yeah.
I was surprised
to say anymore.
Tony.
I thought in big trouble.
I thought he did a brilliant job.
Unbelievable.
Brilliant job.
It's a club
club as well.
Oh, it's a fantastic club, but the whatever that board is, they just whoever they're listening to, clueless. And many a manager's career has just gone by the wayside joining there.
Where is it you keep that barge pole?
Quick one on the graphic for the Champions League draw that was made. Porto against Arsenal, Napoli, Barcelona, Paris Saint-Germain against Real Sociedad, Inter against Atletico, PSV against Dortmund, Lazio Bayern Munich, Copenhagen against Man City, RB Leipzig against Real Madrid. Not a bad draw, Nearly.
Oh, City will be delighted. I was looking at the two teams that finished second in the group. It was PSG and Inter Milan. And you're thinking, you know, all the top teams who qualified will want to avoid them two. So I was interested to see Inter Milan and Atletico Madrid should be a cracker. And then PSG, I think they'll fancy their chances over 2 legs against Sociedad. You know, City, like I said, will be delighted. That's a tough one for Arsenal.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't. Porto, big club.
Who's going to win it for you? Ooh. I'm going to go Real Madrid.
Yeah, I was thinking them myself.
Is it still a rigged draw where you can't play somebody for your own country at that stage?
I think so,
yeah.
Is it? I mean, that's scandalous. You throw the names in the hat and whatever comes out, comes out.
Yeah, who's winning it for you this year? PSG again?
Yeah. I went off them a wee bit.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Real Madrid.
Yeah,
Arsenal for me. Fancy Arsenal strongly.
Arsenal?
Yeah.
That's not a bad shout.
Well, okay. If Arsenal win the Champions League, Tam, I'm taking you out for an all-expenses meal.
Where's mine then for predicting Rangers winning the League Cup?
I predicted Rangers.
No, you did not.
What did I say?
I don't think
you said Aberdeen or Hibs or something.
You're the
like
one that predicted them.
From the start. From the start.
No, down to the last 4.
Down to the last 4.
No, it was quarterfinals.
Quarterfinals.
Okay. I'll tell you what. I'll take you out again. You're happy with that? Right, okay. On that note, thank you to Neil, who's... I don't know if you sensed today, it was a really uneasy day in the chair for him, wasn't it? Not for you and I, Tam. We're still barred. Anyway, apart from anything else, we've got our festive jumpers on. It's fantastic. We've still got a lot of programming coming your way, and I'll tell you, we've got a really special programme which is coming out this week that I think you really will enjoy. 2 former Old Firm managers getting together. Martin O'Neill, Alex McLeish, here on the couch, talking about the big derby coming up at Celtic Park between Celtic and Rangers. It's one to look forward to. I'm certainly looking forward to having the 2 of them here on the couch. It's going to be absolutely blistering, and I think you'll enjoy it. And of course, we've got some great straight talks coming up as well from Ruffy, Neil Lennon, Tam McManus and myself, Peter Martin. Thank you for listening and watching.